Hey guys, this video is for anybody who's looking to make large-scale Zeus missions. I'm just going to go over what dynamic simulation is. So, the definition of it is, dynamic simulation is a feature that extends the possibilities to define and control object simulation. Its goal is to allow designers to increase the number of objects and AI units that can be present in the mission without destroying game performance. This is achieved by selectively simulating only what is needed. So essentially, what it does in practice is it stops stuff from being simulated if it's far away from the player. So you can actually adjust what distance you want stuff to be simulated at under the Attributes and then Performance tab in the editor, and you can set all those settings here for characters, map vehicles, props, etc., etc. So, what it really does essentially is it stops stuff that's far away from the player from being calculated, so that you won't have massive, like I have a massive mission here, right? Like loads of stuff is everywhere. And if we play this mission without dynamic simulation on, I will be at about 10 to 15 frames per second. So very low performance. I'll show you in a second once I load in. Because what's happening is when I load in, every unit on the map and every object is being calculated and taking into account everything they can see, etc., etc. I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. So, as you can see, I am at about 15 frames. You could say that's because everything's loading in, but I'll show you in a minute that it'll always be like that in this mission. Module, so I remove editable objects. Why is that not working? There we go. Quickly delete the players. So, everything on this mission is being simulated, is being calculated right now. So let's say I go over to the airfield I've created. These guys over here are being simulated.
On the way.
For instance, this guy can move around freely, and these guys can all see, etc., etc. And so that's why I'm currently at about 15 to 20 frames. Very laggy. Now, if I turn on dynamic simulation, that'll make it so that, for instance, the units at the airfield over there, and every unit and every object that is outside of that 500-meter radius is not being simulated, which means that it will not take up processing power and I won't be as laggy. So let's just select everything on the map to make it easy. We'll go into Attributes on the unit, so right-click, go down to Attributes, and then under the Composition State, we will enable dynamic simulation. So this will enable it for the units, and if we scroll down, for objects, it's under Object Special States, and we enable it here, Enable Dynamic Simulation. And we click OK, and now let's play the exact same mission, but this time with dynamic simulation on. That means only stuff within 500 meters of the players will be simulated, will be essentially active. I'll show you what that looks like in a second. So this German base I've created, everything will be simulated in here, for instance. But otherwise, I am now at a steady, roughly 40 frames per second compared to the 20-ish I was at before, so I've easily doubled my frames. If we quickly go look around the map, I will show you what the dynamically simulated units look like.
Contact. Rifleman.
Let's go to the airfield we were at just before. If I tell this unit to move now, he is outside of that 500-meter radius, so he will not be able to move. Not until players get within 500 meters of him, and that's when everything he does will essentially be taken into account. So let's teleport myself over here. And now that a player is here, he will become simulated. There he goes. Every other unit also will start going into formations, etc., etc., because they're inactive. This also applies, so for instance, the units at the base I just left, they will no longer be able to move, etc., etc., because they are all being dynamically simulated. Even if you, I believe you can't even take control of them. Like if you remote control them, they won't be able to move. However, if you spawn in a unit in front of them, that will wake them up, so to speak.
Standing by.
I believe, at least. They should wake them up. Oh, I know why they're not doing anything. hold on, I just need to spawn a Russian unit, because right now I have the settings that they're allied. So if an enemy unit comes in front of them, they will become dynamically simulated. Let's quickly delete that unit, and they will all freeze in motion, because they're being not dynamically simulated again. The players are never dynamically simulated, so let me just delete all the players. A vehicle, I'm guessing, is on the move. Well, was about to get on the move. That's why there's now a permanent sound of a vehicle in my ear. So even if you like spawn somebody in, spawn a Luthor unit in, even if you spawn somebody in to say like kill units because you want to like give that effect of when the guys roll up, units are dead. That won't really work. You can shoot them, and then when the units get there, they will be dead on the floor. It does look a bit derpy though. I'll show you what that looks like. This guy will now just quickly fall over dead normally. Oh, apparently I didn't shoot him enough. There was also, ignore that error, there was also something else I wanted to cover, which is in a few missions I've seen people place down compositions, like massive compositions of units, just to have as like extras for when they want to place them in. You really don't need to make these, like these massive things. I just made them as an example of what not to do. If it's all just like one unit composition, you can just delete all of these guys, and you only need one. Because you use this one, and then you can even have them dynamically simulated, and then you can just Control-C, Control-V him, and you have an extra one. And you can do this indefinitely for how many you want. You don't need to have massive things to then move close to the players. Anything that's dynamically simulated that you then control, like copy-paste, the unit you've then placed in will not be dynamically simulated. And so, also sometimes what happens is that dynamically simulated units might be a bit buggy at times, like even when the players get within 500 meters, or whatever distance you've set that to, they might not simulate, so you might have to just delete them. Let's say like, let's say I wanted the sniper to be like non-dynamically simulated. I just have to Control-C, Control-V, and then place him back up, and then boom, he's ready to go. But yeah, if you ever have a problem, just Control-C the unit, delete the unit, and then replace them. And these guys will not be dynamically simulated. And so yeah, I hope this video helps. I know I've been having performance issues in a few missions, and I decided to go check them, and I noticed it's because people make massive missions and then don't dynamically simulate anything, so it means I get shit frames. But yeah, hope this video helps, and thanks for watching.